The moon is in Cancer and the sun is in Virgo. That means we have an opportunity to create new emotions and feelings and bring them to ours and others, mutable and flexible visions, expressions, and actions when it comes to routine, pattern, work, stress, health, and organization. But there's more to it, so let's get a bit deeper. And before we do so, leave a like and subscribe. Use the links down below. Book readings with me via email or IG in the link down below, and let's get into it. Cancer is cardinal water, ruled by the moon. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and Cancer comes from the fourth house. Cardinal water means the ability to create new emotions and feelings, moods, imaginations, and new places of comfort, new places of familiarity, and new attachments. Being ruled by the moon means that Cancer is focused on attraction, responses, reactions, and the emotional and spiritual spaces in your surroundings. Jupiter being exalted in Cancer means that Cancer can go too far with expansion, traveling specifically emotionally and spiritually. Also, they can go too far with wisdom, knowledge, and focusing too much on their own personal testimonies. Being from the fourth house means there is a focus in comfort, safety, in your physical house, or in emotional or other physical places that offer you security and privacy, and also an extra focus on the moods and emotional structures from those spaces or from the physical realm around you. So, in general, Cancer means creating new emotions, feelings, and moods that deal with attraction, comfort, and family, while having the ability to go further or too far with new emotional, familiar, and spiritual expansions, travels, attachment, and connections. So, the moon being in Cancer means that you might be creating new feelings and emotions that might lead to new attractions of new spiritual spaces that can allow you to expand. Or you might be attracting people, places, things, or situations that need new ways to feel comfortable or familiar with spiritual and emotional expansion or traveling. With the sun in Virgo, there is a sextile with the moon in Cancer. So there is a bigger opportunity to initiate new spiritual and emotional expansions and structures into yours and others' expressions and actions in mutable, flexible, or scattered ways that deal with structure, organization, routines, status, work, stress, and health. So there's an opportunity to create new feelings and emotions in yours and others' routines in general. But what type of feelings that you are expanding is what really matters. Also, because of the mutability of the sun in Virgo, you might attract people, places, things, and situations that, through their practical or stressing mutable actions and visions, can trigger you to create new feelings and emotions. So don't let nothing trigger you to create new feelings of scarcity or fear, especially because Cancer is ruled by the moon. So by allowing that I previously mentioned, you will not be using the full power of the moon energy, which is the power of bountifulness and the power of safety. You know what I'm saying? There is also the opportunity to create new feelings of faith and bountifulness in your and others' workspaces, responsibility, routines, and patterns. There is also the opportunity to bring practical flexibility to your moods, faiths, and imaginations. Another opportunity is opportunity to see in real practical ways spirituality in a new way, or new spiritual wisdom and knowledge, or new spiritual aspects of yourself, others, and in or about your physical surroundings. There is also the opportunity to feel more sensitive and fragile in work, stressful, or responsibility heavy environments. Also, there is an opportunity to bring organization, cleansing, and checking up things in your house, in your family, in your personal connections, and on your internal realm by being very real but still flexible with how you see, think, and analyze about those new emotions and feelings, or about those new perspectives, those new moods and movements of previous emotions or previous events. And then also, there is an opportunity to bring new feelings of care, attachment, and moodiness to your routine, practicality, organization, and efficiency that is being seen or expressed in a mutable, scattered, or flexible way. There is also the opportunity to ease connections, validation, commitment, or contracts if you are expanding some bountiful feelings, if you are expanding some true connection and some good spiritual purposes, it will be easier for you to connect or attract people that can connect you to routines, patterns, responsibility, or efficiency that will be bountiful and profitable to you while allowing you to have flexible limits and boundaries, flexible levels of responsibility, so you don't get too responsible, too extracted of energy by those situations, but you can still have or enjoy some profit and organization. And before we continue, there was also Moon in Gemini, Sun in Virgo. I just didn't have time to do that video, so let's go real quickly, take a look, because we are transiting that learning lesson that was Moon in Gemini, Sun in Virgo to this new opportunity. So it's important because you might be needing to create new emotions and feelings and new spiritual perspectives about what you learned from when the moon was in Gemini. So, real quick, Moon in Gemini and in Virgo was a learning process of the Mercurial aspect. So, learning about thinking, communicating, and analyzing, and how to socialize. So, with the Sun in Virgo, there was a squaring with the Moon in Gemini. So, we are learning how to feel lighter, more dissociate, more disconnected, more logical and dry about yours and others' actions, expressions, and visions that deal with mutable or scattered practicality, responsibility, safety, security, profit, organization, and efficiency. This was bringing some tension between light and not worrying feelings and serious and calculative actions and expressions in order to maintain or be mutable about safety or responsibility. Also, that alignment was bringing a general lack of care and concern about safety or rules, and an emphasis to the need to feel free and light, especially mentally or in society or relationships. And on the other side, maybe there was too much worrying and too much stressing about feeling emotionally and mentally protected and secure. Also, like 2 days ago, even yesterday, through that learning process, maybe you were learning how to balance a light heart and a sharp and serious mind. Also, maybe you were learning how to see and react to serious things from you and the world, and then keep a light and logical emotional space without disregarding the depth and value of the situation or emotions and feelings at play. Maybe you were learning how to be scattered but look and act sharp, serious, and on point. Maybe also you were learning how to participate in real situations that deal with money, security, routines, and responsibilities while not being emotionally associated, affected, or too attached to. Also, maybe you were learning how to make the world feel lighter or how to accept the world to make you feel lighter without sacrificing logical, common sense, and mental sharpness. Also, in the past 2.5 days, it was normal to not exist a lot of care, emotion, dreams, illusions, and imagination, and also was natural that the focus was on learning how to see the external side of Mercury in a more serious way, while feeling and reacting to the internal side of Mercury in a lighter way because it was a Mercurial square. Also, perhaps you were learning how to be more emotionally efficient in actions and expressions from you and others in areas of security, responsibility, and limits being expressed and seen in mutable ways. Learning also how to apply limits and boundaries to reacting and responding to feelings and emotions that you are receiving from your surroundings, especially when communicated in logical, surface level ways and connected to your surroundings. And that was some events that might happen internally or externally through Moon in Gemini, Sun in Virgo. It was like it started 2.5 days ago, it ended yesterday. So Moon in Cancer is still early into this alignment, and now you know how to create new feelings and emotions, new moods, new emotional and spiritual expansion, also in those learning processes of when the moon was in Gemini and sun was in Virgo. Now, let's see the tarot card for moon in Cancer, sun in Gemini. It's the Empress. That's very, very important. This means that it's time to really respect your emotions and feelings. Really important to respect your internal realm and how you feel, how you react to things, what you are attracting, what you desire. Do you feel comfortable inside? Do you feel insecure? And it's time to apply spiritual and emotional limits and boundaries. It's time to set up spiritual and emotional goals and strive to them. Be the emperor, but internally. Bring some authority, bring some action, but remember that the internal realm does not really work like the external realm. So the way to apply authority, the way to be the emperor, it's different, right? Because it's the empress, not the emperor. It requires more care, more patience, more assimilation and integration of certain emotional aspects of yourself. But this also means there is power, there is opportunity to grow, evolve, and expand your emotional borders, expand your emotional capability so you can conquer and rule other aspects of yourself or the world. You know what I'm saying? That's what emperors and empresses do. They rule, they conquer, they manage a territory. So today there is an opportunity for you to become an empress and not only dominate and rule, but make your internal realm a prosperous realm by applying emotional authority, spiritual responsibility, and internal realm limits and boundaries in order to achieve our goal and a very specific state of being. Then it's up to you what state of being you want to achieve. What's the best way to be the empress today? It's by using the golden Atlantean dragon. This means it's time to relearn or change your perspective about your internal powers, about your internal mechanisms, about how you react and respond to the world, and about what you are attracting from the world. Also, you might have some power, some ability, some aspect of yourself that you don't trust or you don't see clearly or you don't really think it's valuable, and it's time to change that. It's time to be a bit more serious. It's time to be a bit more on the top of your game, internally speaking. It's time to reactivate the Atlanteans. What happened to Atlantis? It went underwater in the legend. That means too many emotions, too many feelings. But they had technology, they had wisdom and knowledge, they had these cool tools and ways to think and communicate. But then too many feelings and emotions. So, from your feelings and emotions, from your emotional chaos, today you can derive some new powers or see in yourself some new powers or see your current powers in a different way to bring more value and more practicality and more reality to them. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's take a look at how Moon in Cancer and Sun is in Virgo is aligning the rest of the natal chart. Right now, the Moon is 12 degrees Cancer, so it's halfway through the Cancer cycle, and we have Mercury in Virgo. So that's also sextiling the Moon. So there is an opportunity to think, communicate, and analyze in more mutable, flexible, or scattered, and also realistic, practical, and organized or stressing ways about yours and others' new emotions, new feelings, new spirituality, new moods, and new places of comfort internally and externally. Then we have Venus in Leo, fatal attracting the Moon in Cancer. This means it's a bit easier to relate, commit, share, and enjoy yours and others' fixed, consistent, spiritual, creative, and egotistical values, pleasures, and way to obtain validation. If you or them are expanding and traveling with new emotions and feelings and new spiritual purposes or new spiritual spaces of comfort. If not, it will be very easy to justify from your own internal realm toxicity, egotistical, and narcissistic traits or aspects of your relationships, commitments, and emotional relational contracts. The quotes were supposed to be in the contracts, not in what came before that. But with the Sun in Virgo, there is an opportunity to bring more reality, more fact checking, more limits and boundaries in a mutable and flexible way. So you can see what's really going on, you can see what's the right value for that exchange of energy, that exchange of information, that exchange of space with Venus in Leo, and then you can correct the situation without burning the bridge, without scaring you or whatever partner you are doing that exchange. Because if them or you are being too egotistical, that doesn't mean there could be a balance point. That doesn't mean that something can be done. And Sun in Virgo can bring the reality, can bring the dryness, but still has the flexibility to help you incorporate the new emotions and feelings to optimize and bring more efficiency and profit to that relationship and commitment that can be too gullible, too much about validation, too much about pleasure, too egotistical, or too narcissistic. Then we have Mars in Libra squaring the moon in Cancer. So this means that today you are learning how to feel comfortable, spiritual, purposeful, and deep in new ways about how you are thinking, communicating, and analyzing in new, creative, sophisticated, more social, and more balanced ways about your passions, motivation, anger, frustration, deep desires, creativity, and deep sense of uniqueness and individuality. So you can be too moody, or others can be too moody about your expression of passion, and then you are learning how to be more comfortable, be more strategic, know when to show, know what to show, know when to go deep, know when not to go deep, know how to connect, know how to get attached, know what emotions and feelings you really want to bring into a consistent rhythm so you can materialize them through passion, through desire. And on the other side, you're learning how to be a bit more dry. You're learning how to be a bit more judgmental. You're learning how to be a bit more confrontational in order to expand your emotional and spiritual space, or in order to protect your spaces of comfort, your spaces of personality, and the emotional, spiritual, or physical spaces where you go to in order to rest, to get inspired, in order to regenerate or create a new process of genesis. And Sun in Virgo can help you do all of this without sacrificing routines and patterns, without sacrificing efficiency or looking efficient and having some status. On the negative side, Sun in Virgo can bring worry, can bring stress, and if you don't have a strong emotional space, others' criticism or others' reality can crawl into your mind and be like, they're doing it better, or you're too emotional, you're too passionate, you're not realistic enough. But remember that reality, structure, limits, boundaries, all the monies of safe, all the concept of money, safety, it comes out of value. It comes out of what you need, what you want, what you desire. So Moon in Cancer and Sun in Libra are creating the process, are creating the things that then you can use or can be used by to obtain stability and structure. Then you have Jupiter in Cancer conjuncting the moon. This means you might be expanding too much on your emotions and feelings, moods, new wisdom and knowledge, and new spaces of comfort and familiarity. So you can be too insecure because you're too secure internally. You can be too moody, or you can be too nervous because you just have new feelings, you have new emotions, you don't know what to expect. You just feel vulnerable, you just feel open, you just feel fragile. But on the positive side, if you have already a strongly developed emotional field and you have these new emotions, these new feelings, these new spiritual purposes, you can expand them and manifest better, materialize better, attract better, or just feel better in general. And then also, you might be expanding new perspectives and new purposes about yourself, because Cancer, especially with Jupiter being exalted in there, really allows you to see new wisdom and new knowledge from your internal realm, for your own internal mechanisms, from how you react to things, from what and how you attract things, but also from past moments, from past connections, past traumas. So it's not just healing them, maybe you're not even healing them, but you understanding something, you seeing a new perspective, you coming up with a new wisdom and knowledge, a new lesson that taught you, or now, or you starting a lesson, you starting to see the points. It doesn't mean you're going to obtain the wisdom and knowledge. It's cardinal. It's starting the process, but it starts here, and that can give you some faith. Maybe you're not even aware, but now you feel a bit better. You feel a bit stronger because you're already mapping out the circumstance, so you feel a bit more secure. And the Sun in Virgo can help you and others bring practicality, limits, boundaries, and efficiency on a mutable way, or you might be blinded or limited by reality itself because you being too mutable and gullible, and you allowing others limits and boundaries to stop or limit or being judgmental about your own expansion. Then we have Saturn in Pisces, retrograde though, and it's trining the moon and opposing the sun. So with the moon in Cancer, we have a gift to bring new emotions and feelings, new spiritual purposes, and new attachments and places of comfort to structure, networking, association, infrastructure, and organizations that deal with spirituality, creativity, emotions, feelings, dreams, and illusions. So there might be an update on how to emotionally manipulate, how to take advantage of cognitive dissonance, and how to make people attached to the imagination and potential of something instead of the structure. But also there is a gift to bring more purpose, to bring more spiritual righteousness and spiritual expansion to already existing structures, organizations, infrastructures, and systems that can, in the future or right now, support more creative people, more spiritual people, or they can bring spirituality, creativity, mutability in emotions and feelings to people that are a bit too dry. So there can be a bit more hope today. There can be a bit more faith, illusions, nightmares as well when it comes to the real world, structures, infrastructures, systems, routines, patterns, law, limitations. And limitations can be good as well, right? And especially since Saturn is in retrograde, the moon in Cancer can bring a feeling of refreshment, advancement, progress, seeing past structures, past limits, past goals, past working hard moments, past moments where you endure something for very, very long. The moon in Cancer, especially with the conjunction of Jupiter there, can bring extreme new feelings, extreme new emotions, or new perspectives, or just instead of new water, just steer the water so it doesn't accumulate bacteria and harmful things like that. Then we have Uranus in Gemini, fatal attracting the moon in Cancer, squaring the sun in Virgo. So it's just feeling more emotional, more creative, more moody, and more irritated about change, rebelliousness, and opposition, or how it's being communicated and seen in a light, surface level, cold, and detached way, or just about the change in general, just about, oh, I was comfortable, I had some spiritual space there, I had an emotional space there, and now this is changing. Now I feel opposed. Or you're just feeling refreshed and feeling more comfortable because there was something that you didn't really vibe with, and now you see that change, and you don't really going through a deep process. You're not really going against the current because Uranus in Gemini is bringing that change in a scattered, mutable, flexible, logical, and surface level way. But also, you are learning how to see, act, and express about that change, about that rebelliousness, or about the way it's being communicated to you in a more serious, practical, purposeful, and organized way without losing flexibility, without losing adaptability, and without losing the ability to see a good opportunity. Then we have Neptune in Aries, also retrograde, so it's not in the cusp, but let's assume it's in Aries because it has been in Aries for way longer, so there was an accumulation of that energy. So that's squaring the moon in Cancer, in conjuncting the sun in Virgo. So we're learning how to feel new ways of comfort, familiarity, and purpose about new perspectives, new visions, new feelings, or new desires derived or being seen for the first time out of generational, out of archetypal curses, gifts, abilities, or inabilities in general. And then with the sun in Virgo, you might be misunderstanding how you and others, or how societies, how cultural groups are assimilating those new desires, those new visions into a practical and mutable reality, practicality, organization, and efficiency. And lastly but not least, Pluto in Aquarius. It's an inconjunction between the sun and an inconjunction between the moon. Misunderstanding new feelings and emotions, misunderstanding new spiritual purposes and new spiritual spaces of comfort or generation with the process of transformation that is taking us to the new world where it's all about being or being associated with a unique mind, a unique structure, unique limits and boundaries, unique progressive systems that allow you to be or associate with unique minds that can be expressed and associated with a reality in a unique, consistent, fresh, logical, humanitarian, and creative way. And also, Pluto is misunderstanding the sun. So also you and others might be misunderstanding how to apply the new world, the new Aquarian system into reality, into practicality and organization on a mutable and flexible way. But there is an opportunity to, through those misunderstandings, through you not really making sense out of something, expanding a new spiritual purpose, to have a structure or a association that is unique, that brings structure, that brings fresh ideas and hope for the future, while having some spiritual and emotional privacy, and while having some mutability and some responsibility, not just in the end goal, but while we walk through there. And it's going to be everything for today. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. And you can use the link tree in the links down below to reach my Instagram page, or you can use the email down below to contact me and inquire me and book with me readings and consultations. I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and a whole bunch of individuality, creativity, and responsibility as well. Believe in yourself and in all possibilities, and you will be all right.